Now, what are the challenges in the project management? First is that a lot of time objectives are not properly defined. What is mean by that? It is vague. It is not tangible. It cannot be measured. Okay. Or it cannot be quantified. I want to build a house which should be beautiful and the view should be excellent. It should be world class. So fair deal. So are these words are good as an objective? No, they are not good as an objective. Because nothing this can be measured. And whatever you call as world class, and if I say that no, I don't call it as world class, then we have no common definition. So objectives are not properly defined. That's a challenge in executing them. Insufficient planning, coordination, or resources. So we have no backup plan. We have no we don't really monitor the dependency. We do not organize the resources. I will give you one example here. When the Bombay-Pune highway, which is known as Express Highway today, was built, I happened to meet the project manager of it, and I was talking to him. He said, sir, there were so many things which we need to plan. One of the things is that we calculated that how much diesel we require every, for an entire project. And then we realized that we require 8 million, 8 million trucks of diesel required for earth moving equipments and cements and everything which is required. So they said we cannot depend on one company. We cannot go to a nearby petrol pump and say, give me petrol, give me petrol. So before we start the project, we go to Old Bombay-Pune road. We see conveniently which are the places connected by road to express highway locations. And then we ask all India's top 8 petroleum companies to set up the plant there with 1 lakh, 1 lakh liter of capacity at every location. So that at any given point of time, we have enough medicines. When we'll break a stone, which is of 400 metric tons, okay. Now, the challenge is not, one challenge is breaking a stone, but the other challenge is where you will throw this stone. Because there is transport involved, there are people involved, and if you don't have, if it's too long distance and you don't know where to throw, it's a 400 metric tons, you cannot throw anywhere. So they first found out where are the valleys which can be filled up, how far they are distant from this, how much volume is coming from where, so how much transportation will be required to do that. Now you can understand how, what level of planning need to be done before doing this kind of project. Poor estimation of duration and cost. A lot of time we don't understand because we are not domain expert. Somebody says that, we want to make one tunnel here, or we want to make, so like, let's take something which is more closer to you. Suppose as we say that many times, as I said the earlier example, if 20 people are going to come, and I expect that I will be able to make, 60 rotis in 2 hours. And I could not, because of whatever reason, nothing happened really. On that day, it was a bad day, things were not working. So I lost it completely. I had no game plan, no disaster recovery plan. I had no alternative method available. So naturally then it's a wrongly estimated. Eventually I'll end up in spending much more money. So time is lost, happiness is lost, and money is also lost into the game. That's a challenge which one need to address. Incomplete, unrealistic, and outdated project plan. A lot of time, we make project plan. Like I give this example, but don't take it like, applicable to in India only and all kind of a thing. But I wanted to tell you, when we build a house and when the architect is coming, we say that I don't want the bathroom to be, facing this side, it should be facing that side. So immediately take out a drawing and do the marking. Okay, we will move it here. Then we will move it there. Then we want entrance to be moved from this point to this point. So they do it. But when you go to townships or smart cities, the architect there or international repute of architect, what he says, whatever you want to say, you say, I'll take a notes of it. But I will do nothing on the paper right now, because I'll have to go see what is possible, what is not possible, and I have to change all the drawings. When I change the door from this side to that side, I have to change electrical connections, I have to change plumbing connections, I have to change everything. So I can't do it on a piece of paper and tell you that it is done, no problem. That's a insufficient planning, incomplete, unrealistic business plans. But then the architect has to be there, because every doubt they have to be there to stand there and tell them what is solution. But when you do a systematic work, you say that I'll go home, I'll think over, I will see, I'll change it in every layer of the drawing, and then only I will give a new release of drawings. Then that makes logically a correct pitch for project challenge, addressing project challenges. So, friends, I will now conclude this slide saying that we do not have a proper objective defined. We have poor insufficient or a poor planning, coordination and resources. Okay, then we have poor estimation of duration and cost. So we have done something with our some understanding and which really doesn't tally with the real work or situation there. Then we have incomplete, unrealistic and outdated project plan. Because of this, these challenges ensures that project will not finish in given time frame with a given price and budget. So those all, and we will not satisfy the objectives which are defined there. These are some continued points. Lack of communication. One of the most important point which really makes project miserable is a lack of communication. Why it is like this? Because many times people do not disclose the information to all. Then the resources, the parties and the people who are engaged into that are depending and waiting for the decisions. And then they are waiting for the next action plan. So that time is wasted, anxiety is created, the smoothness of the work is not done, proper planning of the work is not done, because I don't know exactly what I'm supposed to do. I'll give the same example of express highway. So we were discussing that if somebody wants to go with a speed of 100 kilometers per hour, what he requires on express highway? So what he requires? He requires clear visibility of 1.6 kilometers so that he can drive at 100 kilometers. Suppose you want to make an express highway, a big highway, but you make it in a small town where it is turning at every now and then will you be able to accelerate the vehicle? No, you will say, what can I do on this here? Because I have no visibility. Road might be clear. You are telling me nobody's on the road, so you can go fast, but I cannot because I can't see that. So I need a visibility. I need a plain field. I don't require a straight line because I may go to slip. I require a standard curvature continuously working so that I remain, awake and I drive. All these criteria need to be done. With his highest efficiency or with highest speed, then they require visibility. They must know that what I am going to do today, what I am going to do tomorrow, what I am going to do day after tomorrow, what I need to prepare. So end of 15 days, what is that which I am supposed to complete? So do I know all that? Then I can start preparing. Even I finish my work today early, I'll prepare for tomorrow or day after or something even after 10 days. I'll start working onto that. I'll start understanding that. I'll start preparing for that. That is something where we say if the communication is not right, you do not have a visibility. And if you do not have a visibility, you cannot accelerate your work or you cannot do it with a much higher speed. Then we have inadequate definition and acceptance of role. So every time we say that is not my job, it is their problem. He says that it's not my job. Graphics guy says that, look, they gave me an image, I converted that image into a graphics, which was briefed to me. Whether it is creating that impact on education or no, I got nothing to do with it. Then we are not in sync with each other. So we have to define that who is responsible for what. And that is something which they have to also accept it. It's not something I thought you will do it like this, but you said that you never told me. And I have never said that I will do it. But when I say that you are responsible for it, you will do it, now you will start thinking differently. Because the ownership lies with you as you accepted the role. Okay, that's very important. And poor commitment to the project by the team. So poor commitment happened by many reasons. One of that is a poor visibility, poor acknowledgement, poor definitions, poor scope, overriding the activities, poor salaries, low quality resources, no emphasis on quality, no focus on consistent work, no planning. All these are reasons for poor commitment. And then people are not committed to the project. So these are the few challenges which I wanted to tell you. Nothing really goes, there's nothing like a rosy days, rose and cakes for everybody every day. So we should know challenges, we should know characteristics, and then we should really understand, keeping this in mind, we should develop the project plan. So we control processes. So I do not have anything to control. Like for example, my control office is in Pune and I wanted to monitor express highway in the guard section that why the accidents are happening. So what control processes I have? I got nothing. I cannot really scrutinize a vehicle before it enter into high speed zone. Then do I have a control on this part? No, I don't have. So I need to create those. Lack of risk analysis. Certain things goes in a risk, but we are not accommodated anything for that risk. For example, suppose while building that kind of project or a metro project, suddenly there is a strike and we don't get on crude oil for 1 week. But do we have business contingency plan? Do we have some spare capacity? Can we really ensure that out of 8 days, at least we can work for 5 days? Or can we really plan something where like look at something which is like there was an Amrutanjan bridge on the highway, express highway. They have a problem. Traffic is so heavy that they cannot really break that. And to break that with a blast that bridge, it is very weak. You need to have some slot. So what they decided? They waited for an opportunity. So they got opportunity, they got a window. So they planned the risk analysis. They closed the highway because the revenue also got closed. So they did that and they blew it in 6 hours, 8 hours, 10 hours and finished that work. And they opened the express highway with a fresh, clear, without a risky breach. So there are uncertainties in business. There are uncertainty in project. There are uncertainty in resources. There are uncertainty in skilled people leave the organization. So we must have some kind of planning, analysis or alternative which should be available. Eventually everything boils down to a good control. Once it starts, we must have a control. Control at every level, whatever you can, so that there is no need for monitoring at the later stage when there is a fault has occurred. If it's done rightly at the beginning, at the entry point, you don't have to worry, things will go right. Now we are talking about constraints. What is constraints? Like we have a dreams, everybody have dream. I wanted to make career. I need to have. There is nothing. I mean, there is an a long story for everybody. They want everything, and then after dreaming all that, we come to reality and we said, "Boss, पैसे नहीं है, ये time सही नहीं है, मेरे जिंदगी में सब खराब चल रहा है. Things are not working the way that I wanted." I do everything good for everybody, but nobody does good for me, and so on and so forth. What are these? These are constraints. There is no business without constraint. Okay, please understand. There is nothing. You don't do any business saying that we have enough money, as much as you need, we have money. No, we said nothing doing. Even though I have money, I can't invest because once it is gone, and if it is not coming back, then I don't know. So there is no business in the world which actually goes without constraint. Is constraint is seen in a negative way? Constraint is something where we said that my hands are tied and my legs are tied. No, constraint is something that you have some window in which you can operate. You have some budget in which you can operate. You have some space in which you can operate. Nobody has stopped you to operate. But you cannot say that I don't require space, I don't require budget. Like somebody says that I want to make a film, but I don't want budget. No, I will do it till that I am happy. Okay, now nobody will invest into this film because they don't know when this guy will happy. And beyond that, even this guy is happy. What is the guarantee that after this film is being released, the people will be happy? Because at the end of the day, my money comes from people. So all these all things work means with a constraint. Now let us understand what are the constraints in projects. Okay, one is the scope. Lot of time people land up in overriding the scope. They have some scope defined right at the beginning and they start feeling emotional about the project and they start going further. Okay, like for example, a contractor has built a beautiful building. Okay, Now his project is over here. He cannot, go there and say that we will form society and I'll help you out in doing interior of your house and all. Then, the scope of the project is completely changed. What is the scope of the project? I was given a land. I was told that you will get money, you will get resources, build the building in this particular time frame. My job was to make that building as per the design, what is being provided, and do with the best quality which I understand, within the budget. And I'm happy the project has to close there. I cannot go further beyond this. Many times the scopes are not either defined well or they are not followed well. People override the scope. Because the project itself is not known. Project is not approved correctly. It is only shown that, okay, people have shown interest that this is a good project. And then you start working. Or no, do they have a commitment for the project? Are they ready to invest? Have they transferred money? Have they committed you? If not, then don't touch to it. Then the project itself become a constraint. So first is approval. So a lot of time we see that getting approval itself took 15 years. So it's okay. It takes some time because without approval you cannot start the project. Project might be duration of 3 years only, but approval may take a long time because you have to convince a series of people who are going to invest. Then we have time. So we always say in our terminology that customer always wanted it yesterday. When he comes to me, he said that I wanted this project to be completed yesterday. Now I can't do it yesterday. I can only do it tomorrow, day after, or sometimes. So time is always constrained. And we have to be very particular about it, that we have to do the real calculation, not the emotional calculation. See, he's saying 3 months. Let's do it in 4 months. Now, what's the problem? No, you first calculate how much time is really you are going to take. Then do we have some buffer time where you can play or you can expedite? Do we have choice? So then you have to really come back. And here the terminology is like critical time and everything really works because your estimation lies onto that. I want to tell you, especially in IT, that 90% of project overruns for 150% of cost. Why? Because the estimations are not done right. And otherwise, if you do it in time, then you have problem with quality. Because then you are not really followed the processes and protocols for a good quality product, and then you compromise on quality, whether it is in material or it is in the process or it is in the execution. Everywhere you start feeling the the quality of this one. Then we have resources. Again, I would like to mention that resources is not only human beings. We are talking about machinery, human beings, raw material, processes, systems like logistics, availability of resources, traveling distance, natural situation. There are certain areas where you see that especially in Ladakh and this kind of area, they are closed for 4 months. So if I want to do a project and I have not calculated this 4 months as a gap in between, I'm gone completely. So every resource doesn't mean only the things which need consumables. Resource is something which is everything together. So we need to really look at to this. Then the risk. Risk is with human life, risk is with natural disaster, risk is with cost, risk is with quality, risk is with political situations there, risk is with human life. How you will handle? I'll give the same example of express highway. I asked them that, what was the other challenges? He said another challenges was so many laborers are going to come to work on this project, where they will stay and whether we have a good drinking facility there. Otherwise, if they fall sick and then there is some issues, then what we will do? Do I have shelter? So across the express highway, they I think identified some 9 labor camps, which they identified right at the beginning of the project, where there is a water accessibility, food accessibility, then a good accommodation where they can really stable and safe and secure accommodation. Then their transport time will be less so that they can go to the work in 30 minutes or 45 minutes, not more than that. All these calculations are done. All these risks are mitigated. Risks are fund risk. So we might have fund risk. So do we have visibility for at least 2 weeks or 3 weeks that even the fund doesn't come or they get delayed, are we going to complete, or we will tell the people that funds is exhausted yesterday, today you just sit, come and sit, but we don't have money, and so we don't have raw materials, so we cannot go. In our case of, for example, content development, where the domain subject or domain content is coming from some expert. Now, if that expert is, do we have a risk ready, risk mitigation game plan? Suppose by any chance, I'm not saying he's doing deliberately, but he falls sick or he expired, then do you know another three people who have equal domain expertise or at least similar domain expertise where you can go and knock the door? You cannot really keep your project in a hot seat just because something really went wrong, which is out of your control and command. I wanted to give you one example, like the Srinivasan, who is known as a metro man, who really built the first Delhi metro. He resigned after one accident happened because one earthing equipment drilling machine actually fall down and one civilian died into the game, into this event. So he felt guilty and he did that. He went and did, but the government top officials like prime ministers and all, they said that it is not something which because you have to understand, you are creating something which is much larger than, you are not done deliberately, it is just an accident. So don't take ownership unnecessarily, because that kind of skilled person we do not have. The risk of losing Srinivasan is a big risk, because getting another resource like that, whatever money you have, it may not be possible. So eventually you have to see risk at all the level, and then of course everything, time, resources, quality, risk, people, salary, everything eventually come to cost. And if that is something, or misplanning, misalignment, everything adds to the cost, and then that the project becomes absolutely unviable, economically unviable.